We start with the Democratic Republic of Congo, where Rwanda-backed M23 rebels are advancing further into the country's mineral-rich eastern region. After capturing Goma, the largest city in the east, they seem to have now opened a new front. Locals say they have now marched into the neighbouring South Kivu province. So far, the fighting was centred in North Kivu province, where rebels have seized the capital city of Goma. It has resulted in intense clashes with several dead and thousands displaced. But the rebels are going beyond the boundaries of this region, and they are doing so without facing much resistance. As the Congolese troops have been weakened in front of the rebels, just around 10 days ago, the M23 rebels made a spectacular resurgence since 2022 and seized Minova, a commercial hub in the region. After that, they marched into the provincial capital of Goma, which sits on the border with Rwanda and is a key trade and humanitarian hub. Now they have entered into the adjacent South Kivu province, where locals say they have seized the Kinizar and Mukwija districts. The Congolese army has reportedly established their main line of defense in the city of Kavumu in the province. But if this defense line is breached, then the rebels can enter the provincial capital of Bukavu, just like Goma. Now, both of these eastern provinces are rich in precious minerals and have been at the heart of more than 30 years of conflict involving scores of armed groups. But the fighting with the Rwanda-backed M23 rebels has been the most intense. With the capture of Goma, several Congolese soldiers have surrendered and fled to Rwanda. Abandoned Congolese army uniforms and equipment could be seen littering the streets on Goma's roads. Now, not just this, but around 300 foreign mercenaries hired by DRC to counter the M23 offensive have also surrendered and are on their way back home. Despite the heavy losses, the DRC President Felix Tshisekedi has vowed to mount a vigorous, coordinated response to reclaim territory seized by the M23 rebels.
Rwanda's defense forces, in support of their M23 puppet, are continuing their terrorist enterprise on our territory, sowing terror and desolation among our populations. I share your pain and indignation at these barbaric attacks. These acts are not only an attack on the Republic, but an affront to the history and dignity of our people. In these difficult times, I call on you to be resilient and, above all, to resist.
Yesterday, Tshisekedi snubbed a virtual urgent regional summit with the Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame. Though Kagame has talked of need for ceasefire and dialogue, one of his senior diplomats has warned that the M23 will continue to advance in the eastern DRC and even beyond. Rwanda is in fact facing an intense international pressure to curb its support to the rebels. The United States has urged urgent UN action to halt the offensive by the Rwandan troops and the M23. The UK says its $1 billion in aid to Rwanda could be under threat due to the DRC invasion. Russia has warned Rwandan-backed M23 rebels to stay clear of the DRC, while China has also urged Rwanda to withdraw its support to the rebels. Once seen as an ethnic conflict between the Tutsis and Hutu militias, it has now turned into a fight for vital and precious minerals. Rwanda is accused by the DRC of using the rebels to loot the DRC's mineral wealth. Will its army and the M23 rebels further invade into the DRC territory? Now, for more on this, we have with us Stephen Buchanan-Clark, head of the Peace and Security Program at Good Governance Africa. He is joining us live from Cape Town, South Africa. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, Alison. Thank you for having me.
Now, what are the strategic implications of the M23 rebels advancing into South Kivu? And how does this shift the dynamics of the conflict compared to their previous gains in North Kivu?
Well, on Tuesday, the provisional governor of South Kivu confirmed the capture of Minova. Minova, as you mentioned in the opening, is an economic hub, but it's also it's a town along a key supply route to Goma. which offers a lot of strategic advantages to M23 as they can stop the resupply of the armed forces of the DRC. M23 have also taken control of Numbishi, Numbi, and Shanje in South Kivu. All three of these towns are built around tin, tungsten, tantalum, and other precious mineral deposits, which the M23 can now use to fund their operations. But overall, I suppose it looks like these recent offences in Goma and further south are designed to maximize Rwanda's negotiation position within future peace talks. It could be enough, perhaps, to force the DRC government to engage in talks directly with M23, something that Tshisekedi has been very reluctant to do until now.
Right. And with Kinshasa vowing a vigorous response, what military and diplomatic options does the DRC realistically have? And how might this escalation impact the regional stability, particularly with relations with Rwanda?
Well, I think military options available to President Tshisekedi are very limited. Kinshasa has for decades been reliant on foreign forces and are reliant now on MONUSCO, SADC forces, and private military companies for their security. The armed forces of the DRC are very weak and just frankly no match for the M23, which, as you mentioned, is backed not just financially by Rwanda, but also in terms of weapon systems, intelligence support, operational guidance, to the point really where they fall under the control of the Rwandan Defense Force. MONUSCO is a UN peacekeeping force, and their mandate will not allow them to engage in widespread offensive operations to dislodge M23. And SAMM, particularly given recent losses, really I don't think has the military capacity or the appetite at the moment to go on offensive operations against M23. Even the capture of private military companies by the RDF and M23 or the surrounding of private military company battalions might even prevent further PMCs from looking to get engaged in the DRC. I think, diplomatically, Tshisekedi has withdrawn his ambassadors from Rwanda and expelled Rwandan civil service from the DRC. I think his best bet probably is to really engage Western nations to go beyond just words and actually take actions that cost Kagame.
Right.
The UN, the EU have come out and called for ceasefire and the removal of forces, but I think he needs to push for things that will actually hurt the Kagame regime, like sanctions, reevaluation of aid to Rwanda, those sorts of tangible things that have a tangible impact on Rwanda.
Absolutely. Stephen, thank you very much for being with us on Firstpost Africa and for your valued insights in the latest on the DRC.
Thanks, Alice.
We're calling the show Vantage. We hope you like what we put together for you. Touted as the minimum defense from that video. India's neighbors were the first to send the special edition of Vantage live from the White House throughout the city. Yes, Hindu Mandir in we're on our way to Tel Aviv. Pretty measure, but it's also the perfect way to drive.
I don't think that
Prime Minister of Bhutan, Sherin Tagwe. Welcome to
60% of the world's
office. Prime Minister Modi did the iron.
We were actually.
How are you doing? How do you like? It's been 1 year since that meeting. Iron bars separate you from the outside. Out the vote effort. Trump had, it says, and at $4.3 trillion. 4.3 300 billion by 2030. That's what we need to tackle climate change.